They look very active, so they should be fine. But this morning, we're going to be talking about two very important topics. First of all, the OSP, alongside the Controller and Accountant General Department, they have jointly released findings into the Government of Ghana Payroll Administration. And they're saying that based on their findings, we have saved about 34 million Ghana cedis for the 2024 financial year. And the report is quite damning. In fact, they looked at only one region. And even in that region alone, we're already saving 34 million. So imagine if they have to go to all the other regions and conduct investigations. So we'll get into that. Also, we're talking about election 2024. And already, the minority is accusing government of illegally recruiting NPP foot soldiers into security services. In fact, they're saying that a quota has been given to every majority MP in Parliament to put about 30 of their constituents into the security agencies. How true is this? The Interior Minister says that is falsehood, and in fact, he is willing to prove it. So we'll get into that. But joining me in the studio, I have Ebenezer Ninati. He's a former Member of Parliament for Ablekuma Central. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm blessed, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. Now that you're not an MP anymore, I guess you're not getting a quota, or...
We'll come to that.
We'll come to that thing. Is it that you have a quota, but you want to wait and talk about it later?
I don't know what you are talking about.
Oh, you have no idea?
Yes.
Okay, I hear you. Well, also, Elikem Kotoko, it's been a while I saw him. He is the Deputy National Organizer for the NDC. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I could be better. Yes.
What's not making you
Oh,
okay?
a lot. I mean, when you wake up knowing well that your economic situation has changed and you are told it is possible, you know that the dollar is on its way to go and greet the cedi at 16, and the pound is rising to 20, the euro is doing the same, and when the price of fuel at the pump is continually on the increase, you know that the standard of living has dropped, and many people in the middle class have been downgraded to more than the lower class. That is very worrying.
It is. In fact, we started servicing our debts, we're told. And so Joe Jackson is already saying that at this point, the cedi is not going to be doing any better anytime soon. So we shouldn't expect much. Yeah. But we have Courage Nobi. He is the communications team member for Movements for Change. And he's dressed exactly for the movement as well. Good morning. Good to have you in the studio. How are you doing?
It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm happy to see you here.
Yes.
Will this be the first time you're representing on the show?
It is the first time.
Okay,
okay. First time, so
how are you doing? Everything okay?
Wonderful. The butterfly has been soaring, and evidence of it is our presence in your studio this morning. Honorable Alanche Martin, the leader of integrity who has a plan for transforming Ghana, is doing very well. He yesterday wished the unfortunate demise of the president's driver, his condolences, and then shared a prayer of safety for all of us involved in this political enterprise. He's a very wonderful man, a very good-hearted man, good-natured. Most importantly, he's a man who goes by his words.
Okay.
He doesn't joke when he's doing politics.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
A lot of Ghanaians are complaining that they barely see him. He comes out once in a while and then goes into hiding and comes out again after a couple of weeks.
When you're trying to do the extraordinary things that you're trying to do, you have to be strategic.
Okay.
We're trying to do what has not happened before, the unprecedented in the Fourth Republic. These two parties have been in the helm of affairs for all these years, leading us downward and downward and downward. I heard my brother Elikem complain about the dollar, and it's in the same direction that it was when he and his party were in charge. So between these two, there's no difference. Between these two, there's nothing new they can offer. Between these two, there is nothing that differentiates them, if not maybe the symbols and the name.
Okay.
But in actual fact, in practice, in governance, as we've seen them do, is the same thing: borrow and spend, throw us into the ditch, and then complain when we are in the position.
Them too much.
Oh, that is what it is. From my own checks,
I was just asking about Honorable Alanche Martin. You already...
This is what actually drives Honorable Alanche Martin. And the necessity to then bring a change that will transform Ghana.
Well, let's see him a lot more. Tell him that we want to see him a lot more. He should be out there for us. But let's get into our first story for today. And good morning to you if you're watching us on Facebook. In fact, you can also join at TV3 Ghana. Remember, the hashtag is TV3NewDay. You'll find us on Twitter and also on Instagram. And you can watch us on DSTV channel 279. We'll start off with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And, well, he's been working in collaboration with the CAGD, of course, Controller and Accountant General. They've come out with a report on the Ghana Payroll Administration. And in fact, they're saying that by blocking payments and removing the corresponding individuals from the government payroll, the Republic saved 34,249,737.60 for the 2024 financial year. And this was a post that was put on the OSP's Twitter page along with the report. So I'd want us to go into the report and get some further details on that. In fact, they indicated that they decided to just start with phase 1. It's in 2 phases, the investigation. Now, phase 1 will take care of, the salaries of staff, in the Ghana Education Service, Ghana Health Service, and even that, they could only start with 1 region, which is the northern region. Phase 2 will come eventually, and that involves the MMDAs. And so eventually they'll move into that. But even for this, they made some findings, and in fact, they are quite damning. So let's go straight to the observations that were made in the report. And 4.1 says that the OSP and the CAGD observed that the payroll system in the northern region, covering educational institutions and the Ghana Education Service and the Tamale Teaching Hospital, is attended to by an alarming number of unauthorized and inactive validators. Indeed, most of the management units were found to be validating persons through the use of unauthorized and inactive validators' credentials. That is to say, the credentials of deceased and retired validators were being actively used in the process. Then again, transferred validators were purporting to engage in validation with their inactive previous credentials. I'll just run through the rest. It says it was also observed that transferred and released staff were being validated by their previous management units, creating the clear danger of unattested active or continuous engagements by the respective institutions. It was observed that some schools had no management units to validate staff. The persons affiliated with the schools were either being validated by their previous affiliated schools or were being offloaded to the nearest schools for validation. And this created grave problems of unreliability of the process, especially in respect of the status of the nominal roles of the district education directorates and the monitoring of actual attendance to duty. Then, in one instance, it was discovered that they didn't give their full name, but it says DA Primary School in the Kumbungu district of Ghana Education Service did not exist at all. Yet, this non-existent contrived entity was represented as staffed, and the purported staff were being validated monthly and being paid salaries. It is extremely worrisome that a non-existent entity had been designated as a functioning district assembly primary school, and the data of the artificially created staff had found its way into the government payroll system for regular payments. Then it says further, some head teachers and head of units were validating some persons whose whereabouts were unknown to them. Egregiously, some validators were validating persons who were, to the knowledge of validators, deceased, retired, or vacated their posts. Now, there was a number of people that were represented on the payroll, 1,265. They said eventually they realized that about 1,020 of them were going through the process the right way. In fact, they were real people, and so they have reinstated them, and they're going to get their salaries. But the rest, they're going to conduct some further investigations to find out what exactly happened. So a total amount of 2,854,144 cedis, 80 pesos, was traced as representing unearned monthly salaries being paid to persons who are deceased, retired, vacated their post, flagged as missing staff, or whose whereabouts were unknown. And this study was conducted between December 2023 and April 2024. And this is very worrying, especially because this will be the first time that we've had reports concerning, the payroll and how there are some ghost names in there. We heard from the vice president saying that they had gotten rid of all the ghost names. We even introduced a whole system where if you didn't have Ghana card, you could not be validated. So how are we arriving at this point? And I'll start off with you, Eben, because this is disturbing, and I'm sure you read it and also were very worried about it.
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to our viewers, and then good morning to my colleagues here. Good morning to you as well. And before I start with that issue, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate some of my colleagues who were sworn in yesterday, despite all the challenges that they went through. I want to congratulate all of them, and I hope and believe that within this 7 months that they have been charged, they will go and do what is expected of them to enable the party and government to move on. And also, this afternoon, God willing, the Vice President will be commissioning the KIA Hostel and Training Center at Medina.
It's been built already?
It's been built.
Oh, wow.
And by the grace of God, today at 1 p.m. at Medina, is going to commission this project. And not only a hostel, but rather is also going to be a training center where they are going to train some of them in dressmaking, soap making, and hairdressing, pedicure, medicure, and all those things. Because it's not a matter of you coming to sleep, but at least you should be able to get something that you can do as well. And also to conclude with it, I think today is the 13th of the limited registration that is ongoing. Any serious party who really wants to win power will involve himself in the registration exercise.
Is there any party that's not serious at the moment and not involved?
Any serious party and any movement who is serious and determined to rescue this country, as being said by certain people, who involve themselves into that. Because elections is a process.
Is there any party that's not involved or any movement
that's...
I'm just asking you as well, because you're making that statement.
I have been round to most of the centers.
And they are not involved.
And I only see only NDC and NPP, and that's all. So any serious party, and I've seen and I've heard people talking about people are registering mine and all those. It's not only NDC and NPP who can check all these things. So any serious party, any serious organization that think that, oh, NDC and NPP has not performed and blah, 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 and all those things, and therefore they are capable. This is what we are supposed to do.
You are jabbing movements for change.
I'm not.
Let's go back to our topic.
I'm not jabbing anybody. This is a rare election. This is not on the 7th of December.
It's called dog by dog.
I know, right? well, it's day 14, I'm told.
Yes, so day 14, you don't even have one single person that you can go to a center. And the election is not won at markets. You go to the people as well.
Right now, where you're going there? Okay.
But when
can we go to our topic? Let's go to our topic, please.
Honestly, yesterday when I received the report, let me first of all congratulate the special prosecutor and his partners for the good work that they have done. Honestly, it's very disheartening and very worried that if one particular region, we are almost spending close to about 3 million Ghana cedis. When you multiply, my math is not good, but when you multiply by 12, it's a huge sum of money that can do a lot of things. So let's assume that this thing has been going on for so many years. It tells you amount of money that government is throwing away through some of these things. The fact of the matter is that I always of the belief that yes, in as much I agree with the validations, you go to some institutions, and most of these things, to be honest with you, you only get it at the education sector because they have a lot of people on the payroll. When you look at the payroll of government, education and the MNDAs have a lot of people. And these are the areas where people always take advantage of. Somebody is on retirement, or the person has passed away, but the person's staff ID has been given to somebody and the person is working. Somebody has passed away. The person's staff ID has been given to somebody who is not even a teacher, neither even working at any of the MNDAs, but the person is receiving salary. The question that we ask ourselves, how do we do some of these things? For example, if somebody is doing national service, I'm told that every month they need to go to their supervisors with their forms to fill and all those things for them. What happened to the validation when it comes to salary of staff? I remember, I think somewhere last year, NIA came out and said that he's giving some days for people to go and do their, how do you call it?
Ghana card.
Their Ghana card, because their salary were freeze because they don't have the Ghana card to go and do the validation. It became an issue. Even the days given to these people, looking at the number that they were expecting for them to go and do their Ghana card, they didn't even get 10% of the number of people. It means that people always want to take advantage of it. But I always say one thing, that look, the problem we have in this country is political will to deal with issues. Today, let's get all those that are heads of these institutions, where some of these, because they cannot just go to a particular place and say that we are doing validation. They have been to institutions. There are people who are responsible for these things that has happened. Let's get hold of the person. Let's deal with this person and become a political issue. Where I was so sad, but on the second thought, I was like, we need to do more investigation about it. The school that they talked about that was not in existence, but yet you have people that goes there and do their validation. I know of a school in my constituency that they have merged, but they still, and now they don't use the same name.
Okay.
Because since now, for example, if it's A and B, because of a project going on, they have added the B people to the A.
Okay.
So meaning that now you are going to use A and not the B because the B is under construction. It might be in that case. But in this case, they are telling us that it does not exist at all. For how many years, we don't know. For how many months, we don't know. So we need to do more investigation. If indeed we find out that, yes, indeed the school does not exist, and yes, still, we have people who go and do validation and take money, those people need to be dealt with. Not only the people who are going to do the validation, but even the heads of those schools, those who supervise the validation, they also need to be dealt with. Because to be honest and sincere with you, looking at the amount, I always, look, government money goes to the drain, that we can do a lot of things with it. But at the end of the day, what happens?
But that's the thing, because a lot of people are saying that how is it that the controller and accountant general is not involved in this? They're as guilty as even the people who are validating and the people who are receiving the money as well.
Yes, you cannot deal with the people without dealing with controller. Because who does the payment? And what criteria do controller use to do the payment?
And don't they do background checks?
After the validation, you are being given information. You do a check to see. Because controller should be able to tell us that, yes, as of today, we have 5,000 or 10,000 teachers that we pay them. So if you are paying more than 5,000 teachers that is expected for you to pay, then you should know that there's a problem. Because it's a system, it's a software that you are working with. So that it should be able to let you know that, look, we have 10,000 teachers, we have 10,000 MNDAs, we have this number of people. We should be able to have a data of, how do you call it? The people that we pay them at the end of the month. I know that controllers should be able to tell us, yes, we spent 2 million, 3 million cedis on goods and services. So if you are spending more than that, then there should be a problem. And it shouldn't be that we are just letting it go. That is a problem that we have. We have this report. We need to investigate it, get to the root of it. Whoever is culpable of it need to be dealt with according to the law. But we should not just shelve it and discuss it, and that will be the end of the day.
Elikem, do you agree with him that, and that's the worry that many people have, that yes, we're very good at putting out reports. I mean, you go back to 2014, WhatsApp's National Service Scheme, about 7.9 million Ghana cedis paid to ghost personnel in a month. That came out. We're not even sure that, you know, that, of course, there were some arrests that were made, we're told. Some 20 district directors of the NSS were picked up. But beyond that, then what happened? And those are the concerns that many people have, that we are very good at putting out these reports. But when it comes to prosecuting the people who are involved, we're found wanting.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bella. Good morning, and once again to our viewers. First and foremost, I want to commend the special prosecutor for his stellar jobs so far. I must say that you and myself are very lucky. It happens to be a special prosecutor who probably seeks to do the right things, I guess. If you recall, to the best of our knowledge, the KPMG report on SML till date is in the armpit of the president, and he has vehemently refused to release that report for us to know the content. And that is a president who has failed to live up to the litmus test of fairness and of proper leadership or governance. And so you and myself must count ourselves lucky that we have gotten this report, especially in a time we are now where we find it even difficult that when you cannot, I'm sure you cannot even tell the last time a media house broke news on some scandal of some sort. Either you are scared, you will be gagged, you will be threatened, etc.
But we've been doing that constantly.
Yeah, it has not been as it used to be. It now takes individuals. And I'm again greeting Honorable Samuel Okudzeto also for his stellar works in that regard.
Manasseh has been constantly releasing investigative pieces.
One of the few people who stands out, I must say, yes, and I must commend him. But you see, this report is very damning. It tells a lot of the rot that is going on in our systems. And as I speak of these, I sort of even cringe because I feel like, look, daily when you wake up, even driving to your studio here, we meet young guys who are aged 8, 9, 10, 11 on the streets begging for alms or trying to survive, etc. We've met old women who are struggling to just walk to the hospital to seek attention, medical care. We were even told that not long ago, the president's convoy was involved in a fatal accident that we lost the life of one of the drivers. They had to be referred all the way from Sohum to the UGMC in Accra, but not a facility that was closest by to actually accommodate them. Then we have this kind of rot going on in our governance system. It must be condemned at all times. What was wrong yesterday shall be wrong today and must equally be wrong tomorrow. And so I think the special prosecutor is doing well. It is one of the reasons why many Ghanaians are very worried about the perceived deliberate attempt by the presidency and the regime to ask him out of office as a result of the fact that he is fighting corruption. And so we would want to say more grace to his elbow. We hope that this work goes on. But you see, if this is just the northern region, like Ebenezer said, multiply that by the other 15 regions, then we can only tell where we are heading to. Meanwhile, this is a country that is complaining that we are on an IMF program. As we speak, the United States has even told us that they have backed out of the electrification program, and we are struggling to find our feet with all of these. As we speak currently, so-called maintenance are still ongoing with our transformers, even in the night. They are working on 24 hours, to the extent that at 12 midnight when my lights go off, I'm supposed to believe that there's a maintenance work ongoing, and which is not true. So when you look at the quagmire we find ourselves in and the plethora of problems that surrounds us, yet these are some of the rots going on. I think also that the Controller and Accountant General's Department should also bow its head in shame, because you are equally culpable if these things still exist on your books. And don't forget that we have a vice president who has become has gained notoriety as a pathological liar. Last month, the vice president, Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, made us know publicly that all ghost names have been taken out of the ghost names have been cleared off. He mentioned categorically that all have been cleared. And just about a month immediately after, this is what the rot we are finding out. And But
he made the statement in February, did he not? It was in February.
He made this statement, even if it was even just yesterday.
Yeah.
And you see,
but we're told that this investigation started from December.
This was in April.
No, it started from December.
He made his statement in April.
Exactly. So was he probably not privy to information from the reports, which is why he was saying that?
A very misinformed vice president who is not on top of issues, not privy, that is very shallow to say. That is very, very shallow to say. And suffice it to say, it is the more reason why when sometimes you have a vice president who comes to tell you, I'm only a mate, a driver's mate, and I do not have any powers. Yet he comes again to tell you, I'm the brain behind the gold for oil. I'm also, then the next day, you try to jab your opponent only for a student to belittle you and say, look, I have been in school for some years now and I have not even received my allowance. Oh, I'll talk to the finance minister, tomorrow they will do that. In what capacity are you issuing that directive? As a driver or as a mate? The hypocrisy of inconsistency. And so when you have the vice president having told us publicly that the Ghana card is the panacea to all our challenges, that is why he feels he even trusts or he prefers the Ghana card to 1,000 interchanges. And it is only in the NPP that whenever one person speaks, especially the vice president, you need another 1,000 people to translate what he has spoken. That is a failure even in communication if it has to continue that way. So if you have the vice president coming to tell us just last month in April that ghost names have been eradicated from the payroll system, then in less than a month or a month afterwards, this is the rot we are finding out. Then the vice president is not on top of issues. He's just trotting, dancing around offbeat and not attending to the job that is expected of him. That is very sad to say. And you see, so we as people must also rise above some of these. The reason being that the very people who are culprits in these, either some of them may have traveled or are dead, but people find nefarious ways to again condone this act. the various people who have been found culpable to have indulged in this, engaged, connived, and condoned this exercise must be dealt with according to law. And this is the only way. If not, the timing bomb to this is that the very person watching you, myself, Ebenezer, and my brother here today will begin to be thinking that politicians are either the same or politicians are immune from accountability, etc. But that is not the case. So we would need to, and one of the best ways we can attend to some of these matters is when you, the media, consistently follow up such matters. But you see, we live in an era now where scandals are served like instant coffee on daily basis. So you try to follow one matter and the next day there's another scandal, you would have to abandon the previous one and follow the other. That may be one of the challenges, but we need to follow these matters up seriously.
Absolutely. Now, you know, because you talked about the Vice President, I just want to bring this in, because in January this year, he, along with the Controller and Accountant, well, yes, actually, government workers without a Ghana card, ECOWAS Citizens card, would have their salaries frozen starting March 2024. And this was following the launch of a software solution which had integrated the databases of the mechanized payroll system of the Controller and Accountant General's Department and the NIA, with a real-time biometric verification of salaries. Now, Master Planner Junior says that, Bella, do you remember that as part of reasons the teacher unions went on strike, it was because some teachers' salaries were blocked by the special prosecutor because they couldn't link their Ghana card to their bank account? Today, what will the same teacher union say? So the Vice President, along with the NIA, had come up with at least a solution.
The Vice President made this comment on the 9th of April. That is why I'm letting you know. He may have made some other unguarded statements in the past, probably one of which you are referring to. But what I am referring to is his statement on the 9th of April when he said government has removed all ghost names from the public payroll system. A total falsehood being peddled by a sitting Vice President who is not on top of issues. That is very embarrassing. And this is not the only time that we are having to encounter a Vice President who is not on top of issues, misleading the Ghanaian and continually only nodding his head about trying in conformity to whatever the Ghanaian is saying.
Courage, what do you make of this report as well?
Thank you very much, Bella, once again, and good morning to viewers and to my own senior honorable and then my brother Elikem. You know, when you look at the report, you read its content, you see the figures out there, and this is just one region. It gives you a sense of the pillaging that this country is suffering. It gives you a sense of, why we are here. It tells you why continuously we borrow ourselves into a ditch. It tells you why this country, with all its blessings by the Almighty God, continues to wallow in poverty. It tells you why. Presently, more people have been pushed into extreme poverty, and we have virtually collapsed the middle class. But it tells you also of the nature of the politics that we have been doing since '92. And it tells you of the true capacity and interest of these two parties that have been in charge since. Honorable's opening remarks spoke about what the political parties have been about. They are only election machinery, nothing more, nothing less. Nothing about ideological development, nothing about philosophical debates and thinking as to how to position the country for the betterment of everybody. So I have participated in the previous national conferences of the NPP, and you don't see that. Tony Edu has complained about the NDC as well, and why he stopped going for their national conferences. Because you expect a certain robust engagement at the national conference of a party as to how, per the prevailing circumstances, they are going to, through ideology, informing policy, position the country for better fortunes. That does not happen. It's always about how do we win the next election? How do we get the machinery on grounds? How do we elect people down there who do the donkey job, most of whom are ignored even when power comes? Because at the end of the day, until you have a policy direction, a plan, and a program that develops the nation, even your support base will suffer. But how have we gotten here? It is the lack of people in leadership who have integrity.
Okay.
The only way rot can continue to exist is that you have leaders who themselves are rotten. Particularly in Ghana. I look at the 1992 Constitution and the power it gives the presidency. I look at sub-laws and the power it gives to ministers. The question is, how have they deployed this power to ensure that these things do not happen? Do not happen. What happened to the much touted digitalization? Was it not supposed to be the mother solution? But you see, no matter how much you digitalize, if you do not have people of integrity manning that digital system, you continue to have rot on your hands.
Which is why we have this report with the details.
Which is why we have this. And that would also explain the lack of appetite of the establishment in fighting rot.
Why do you say that?
In the suffering that the OSP is going through today, Ankwanoma, which has become his nickname per the song he sang in his last press address. So the question is, and I'm glad, you see, the internet is a fantastic resource. We have headlines from 2014, 2015, 2016. I've been doing an exercise. Check the headlines between 2012 and 2016. And check the headlines from 2020 till now. They are the same.
When you say they're the same, in what sense? With regards to this topic?
Not just this topic. It's about Dumso. They are about corruption, scandal upon scandal upon, we call it scandal galore. They are about IMF. It's about inflation and how skyrocketing it is. It's about interest rates and how it's sustainable. It's the same topics, the same headlines you see.
Which your boss was a part of anyway, because he was part of this government from 2016
Absolutely. And you see, I love it when this particular thing comes up. When you check the indices at the trading ministry, and you check where he took it from, how he developed it, the track record he left, how even after COVID, he saw trade to be growing at 1.9 positive. And just a year after he exited, and mind you, he left the office on 5th January 2023. Check end 2023 figures. It's in the negative.
Because he wasn't there to fix it.
Of course, that is testament to his capacity.
Okay.
After the new trade minister took over, what serious policy have we seen come out of that space? At the end of the day, governance is about policy. That is how he, as trade minister, was able to use policy to attract investment into Ghana for vehicle assembly, which after the First Republic never happened.
I'm still trying to connect it to this report. Like I'm trying to understand.
We'll connect it.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I'm saying all of this because when we go to the polls, we go and elect individuals, but in the name of parties, right?
Yeah.
In the name of parties. But at the end of the day, after you've gone to vote your MPP and your NDC, it is either a President Kufuor or a President Kufuor. At that point, it is no longer NPP. It is the individual. Because the power of state is rested in the individual, not the political party.
Okay.
So, any and everything that you see manifest is the individual. And the individual's proclivities, interests, capacity, and willingness to do right. Honorable here has been given in a very nuanced way all the reason why what the OSP and the controller has brought out could happen right.
I don't understand. When you say could happen right?
He was telling us, oh, sometimes because there's a project, so some two schools are merged and the other school does not exist, so if you go looking for him, in a very nuanced manner, while seeming to condemn, he was again providing basis for which it would be happening. It is
so they are aware of the problem.
They are aware of the problem.
But not doing anything
about it. Not doing anything about it.
Okay.
And it's not just here. If you single it to this reporter, you'll be making a mistake. What happened to Galamsey? The fight against Galamsey. What's happened of the Cecilia Adapa case? When the president even justified her, even before the OSP could finish what he was doing. What happened? That's the thing. We were in this country when it was reported, I think somewhere 2018, that 16 truckloads of fertilizer that the government has subsidized was being smuggled outside of Ghana, was caught at the border. Today, up to today, not a single soul has been imprisoned. What happened? So, at the end of the day, this is very minor, if you ask me. This is very small. This is minor. This is minor.
This is 34 million we're talking about for just one region.
34 million a year for one region.
And we haven't come to the Jubilee House itself yet.
Multiply, that's about 500 million if you take it to all this and all of that. About 500 million. 510 million thereabout. You leave that. Have you checked the Public Accounts Committee's report?
Your point being?
Until you have a leadership that, because it has integrity, is committed to dealing with rot and punishing wrongdoing. This will continue to happen. $12 million of the taxpayers' money was paid for a project that is non-existent. Polugu. A project that the Vice President told us in 2020 had been done. He's again promising that it will be done. And the Bank of Ghana has paid $12 million. Run that by 34 million Ghana cedis. So my point is that there's no appetite in fighting corruption. And that is why any and everybody who has fought corruption has been fought.
So you don't expect that anything will be done to the people who have been fingered in this report?
Well, my only little confidence is that the special prosecutor says that they are going to prosecute. The special prosecutor who is being fought by the ruling party. And when I say that on authority, I mean, we've seen it. Yeah. Severally. Where they're saying that why is he only dealing with NPP people when the NDC people walking about and all of that. But you see, he's proven to have a certain consistency. And that is why I'm saying that I have some allowance that maybe some prosecution could go on. But mind you, this is the same special prosecutor who said that the powers of state are fighting him through the courts.
Okay.
The powers of state are fighting him through the courts. Is it possible that even whilst he's prosecuting this, again, the powers that be, whose foot soldiers and party apparatchiks these people are likely to be, will fight him through the courts?
Okay.
So until you have a leader, most importantly, who has integrity and is committed to fighting wrong, we'll have these reports over and over and over again. And that is why I say that both the MPP and the NDC, in President Mahama,
land for me, please,
and Vice President Alhaji Baumia, you cannot trust them to deal with things like this.
But we can trust Honorable Alan Chebati. Okay,
absolutely.
Let me come to Emmanuel. And before that, Money, good morning to you and everybody who is commenting. In fact, when you're talking about what the former trade minister was able to do, they said I should ask you that. So you are touting his achievements and he could not even plant sugarcane. But let me come to Emmanuel. Sorry, Eben, apologies. Isaac Alessinia says that, Bella, take this education. So when you move from school A, when you move from a school, say school A, but you remain on school A's PV during validation, school A will say you are unknown. Then your new school PV on which your name is not found will add you to their PV as missing stuff. So that's what has been happening. And you give an example of the two schools and how when they merge. So it looks as if we know the problem. We know exactly what's happening. And we keep putting out these reports. But beyond the reports, how are we stopping this?
Okay. Bella, just as I said from the beginning, these are issues that need and can't be dealt with. But before that, Elikem, and I understand my brother also, that all these issues discussing, they will never discuss it without mentioning the vice president. Because he's their headache, so definitely they'll mention it. But the vice president.
Is it not because he's the one that made the statement?
The vice president. When did he make the statement?
No, but it's not because he's the one that made the statement. When did he make the statement? You tell me when he made the statement. No, he made a statement on the 9th of April. Okay. When did they do the investigation? He said going forward. When he made a statement, he said going forward. These things that we are happening, or these things that is going on, will not go on. The investigation being done by the OSP and the Controller and Accountant General started in December. When did they finish with their report? And when did they release the report?
And even in January, he made a comment as
that he has done it. This has been done.
Please allow him to make his point.
It's 2 against 1, I understand.
He's against the two of you. So is it 2 against 1?
No, it's 2 against 1. Me alone and the 2 of them.
I see. You carry on.
So he made a statement on the 9th of April that going forward, the problems that we are having in respect of ghost names, in respect of people taking salary that they have not worked for, will not happen again. OSP and controller did this joint investigation. They started in December. The question that we need to ask ourselves, when did they finish with the report? Before you come and say that the vice president said this and this and this, and because of what he said, it has come. For me, I believe that whoever is responsible, those who connive and make sure people who are not working are being validated and they are getting their salary, those people need to be dealt with. Honestly, I was just making some calculations. And as you rightly said, for a month, we are talking about 34,249,737. When you multiply by 16 regions, we are looking about 547 million plus, almost about 550 million plus. That is going the drain almost every year. The question is, how do we deal with the issue? Just as somebody said, when the OSP stopped payment of teachers' salary, it became an issue. And we have even communicators and we have political parties that were castigating against NIA and then OSP. That why do you have to stop people's salary? Meanwhile, you go in it, and I can tell you, you can even get some of these people that are not even doing the right thing. Just as I said, when you look at government salary structure, or those that government pays, teachers are more than any other institutions that we have. Just go to how many, combine all the security agencies together, combine all the assemblies and the staff that they have. And most of the assemblies also have IGF staff. So those who are on controller salary are just few. How many doctors do we have? How many nurses do we have? Majority of these people are teachers. I'm not saying that the teachers are the only people being found doing this. Currently, as we are speaking, the report that have come out is talking about assemblies, hospitals, and teachers. But I can tell you, when you get a report into data and they are giving us a breakdown of institutions, most will be under education. How do we deal with these issues? I always of the belief that, look, when there is an issue, it is better for us to find a solution to the issue than to be doing politics with it. Because at the moment you start doing politics with it, it ends there. Because when you make politics with it, you have reference upon reference. At the end of the day, what happens? We make it NDC, MPP, that's the only party.
That's not the only.
Convenient.
We are talking about serious people.
Are you saying, no, you're saying the other parties are not serious?
Not. I just give you an example.
The other parties are not serious.
I just gave you an example that I've gone round to not less than 10 constituencies in Greater Accra as a national rep, supervising registration going on. And I only see NDC. Sometimes when I intentionally ask, where is this party?
And
where is this party?
that's why you conclude that they are not serious. Okay. I want us to run through this quickly so that we can move on to our next topic. I'll let you come in, please. Let Elikem have his
Let me say
right.
again that Ebenezer just lied on set.
That what?
And that makes him a liar, and I have to emphasize that.
What did he lie
about? The Vice
about?
President never said that going forward.
But what did he
Never.
say? But what did he say?
I have just shared it with you. And I can even equally share the link with you.
Share with
And
me.
you see, as far back as even 2022, the Vice President was trumpeting all this whole noise about the Ghana card having erased ghost names from our payroll system. I've just shared that with you. And so, no, I've shared with her as evidence. I can equally share with you. This is just it. So the Vice President never said that going forward. So don't try to suddenly want to find an avenue to actually escort him out of the way.
But Elikem, let me just read something that he said.
Yes.
So he said that speaking at the 2022 Civil Service Award ceremony in Accra, this was in 2022, Bawumia said the yearly savings that these discoveries have made just in two institutions was 441 million Ghana cedis. And he says over 10 years, you're talking about over 10 billion. So he was given a projection that if for just these two institutions, they've been able to save this amount of money, if you're going to use this Ghana card, business, then in the next 10 years, we're looking at 10 billion.
It is the reason why you don't come and give such sensational news to just make it look like all is so rosy. The point is that the Vice President lied and has gained notoriety for lying, and he's become a pathological liar. The point I'm making is that the vice president could have said that we are almost done erasing ghost names from the payroll.
Okay.
That makes sense. It makes logic even to the kindergarten student or people who will be listening to you and myself. But when you have the vice president moving about saying that we have removed all ghost names, that is a lie he is peddling. Always wanting to only look good, forgetting that there's need for verification. An example my brother gave again was the Pualugu Dam. He recalled he granted an interview and said it is one project, single program he is very proud of as a Northerner, and that they are doing that and are on course. Today, Haji Baumia is unable to still tell that project has been concluded, has been even started, let alone get stalled. Meanwhile, millions of dollars have been doled out to contractors. This is a shame. Leadership has not sunk this low before. And this is the lowest ebb that leadership or governance has gotten to, which is why we must begin to speak. And speaking about this is not NDC MP. Most often when these matters happen, I have always witnessed my brother saying, this is not just a political NDC MP. No, this is not. It is not at all. We are speaking to the matters that we...
Let Harris come in briefly and then we can move on. I really want us to move on to our next topic.
You see, I struggle most often when I meet my colleagues from the ruling party because, you know, there are young people who are watching this program, and so they are taking cue. So for those who are in leadership or participate at that level, a certain level of candor is expected so that the young people will learn the right attributes, the right skills, the right traits to have for public leadership, which is honesty. And so when you have a government that is constantly on a parallel line with honesty, it's worrying. It's worrying. And until we have a government and leadership that is honest, we cannot see development. We cannot see development. This is 9th April. Just for purposes of records, my jaw online. Government has removed all ghost names, emphasis on all, from the public payroll system, Baumia. And I'll read a quotation of what he said, as quoted in the report. We have now eliminated ghost names at the Comptroller and Accountant General's office just by using Ghana. We have eliminated. Instead of humbly admitting having done wrong and having said what is a departure from the truth. Honorable is seated here, and this is a former member of parliament, trying to find ways of just by again, and for purpose of record, lying that the vice president said going forward. Going which forward? I have just read a quotation, and I've given the source and the date. So, you have a vice president, a presidential candidate of a ruling party, who peddles on truth in his engagement with the judiciary. And you have a former member of parliament, a member of his communication team, sit here to advance that on truth by further lying. How can we see development with people like this in the helm of affairs? Then you turn around and tell us that, oh, because you go around registration centers and you do not see people that you claim should be agents of certain bodies. You are not serious, of course. We are serious on doing things right. We are never serious. And Alan Chemati has never been serious about doing things wrong. He's never been serious about crime. And that is why, whether from the time of President Kufuor or now, he has been one of the most effective public servants that Ghana has had. From PSI, his track record on industrialization, even now in President Kufuor's government. In the State of the Nation's Address 2023, given this year, what did the president say? That some 170,000 jobs have been created through the 1D1F. Those are the only tangible jobs the president could talk about. And those are the jobs that Alan Chematin created.
All right.
And that is the reason why. Because his character and nature is very incompatible with what the party and the government has become. He had to step aside and pursue this objective of going as an independent candidate to give Ghanaians a choice. Just briefly, the good thing that this has given us is that it's giving Ghanaians an opportunity to change this rotten system without bloodletting.
All right.